what do we truly know about the unknown? For decades, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, has been a secretive entity guarding some of the world's most classified documents. Yet with time, even the most closely held secrets slip from their grasp. Today, we are about to embark on a journey beyond human comprehension, as newly declassified documents from the CIA shed light on something extraordinary: an alien language, one that could potentially alter the course of human history. Welcome, fellow explorer, to one of the most significant revelations of our time. The truth is out there, and the CIA holds the key to unlocking the mysteries of extraterrestrial communication. What was once buried deep within the archives has now come to light, and it's nothing short of mind-boggling. Get ready to journey into the hidden world of espionage, secrecy, and the unknown as we uncover what the CIA documents truly reveal about the alien language and what it means for humanity's place in the cosmos. Imagine the world's most secure vault. Now, imagine that within it lies a document that could change everything we know about life beyond our planet. The CIA, known for its covert operations and classified intelligence, has long been linked to investigations into UFOs and extraterrestrial phenomena. But what many didn't know was that their interests went beyond mere sightings. The CIA had stumbled upon something far more significant: an actual alien language. The documents, initially hidden from the public for decades, describe a series of cryptic symbols and sounds captured during clandestine operations. These recordings and translations were not the typical UFO encounters we are familiar with, such as lights in the sky or blurry footage of strange craft. No, these were recordings of something far deeper: actual communication from extraterrestrial beings, captured in the dead of night. The CIA's role in this discovery began with a covert operation in the early 1970s, where agents intercepted what they believed were signals from space. These transmissions didn't follow any known pattern of communication and were unlike anything found in conventional radio signals. The CIA, initially puzzled, started to put together a team of linguists, cryptographers, and extraterrestrial experts to analyze the data. What they found would take them years to decipher. The message was not composed of typical digital noise or electromagnetic waves. It was, in fact, a structured form of communication, a language that could only be understood by unlocking its complex structure. As the researchers delved deeper into this alien code, it became apparent that this wasn't just a random sequence of sounds or symbols. There was intent behind the transmission. It was not the first contact, but it was one of the first clear attempts at intergalactic dialogue. At the heart of these declassified documents is the alien language itself. For centuries, humans have tried to understand what alien life might be like, what their thoughts, emotions, and even language could sound like. But this was something beyond anything imagined. The language wasn't based on phonetics, like human speech. It was a multidimensional form of communication, incorporating sounds, visual symbols, and even what could be described as mind signals. These signals were thought to interact with human consciousness itself, bypassing the limitations of spoken word and direct meaning. Instead of relying on vibrations in the air as we do with our voices, this alien language seemed to use energy patterns that could influence perception and understanding directly. The documents revealed that the language was made up of complex glyphs, patterns, and auditory frequencies. Some of the symbols, when analyzed under certain frequencies, created sound waves that triggered unique emotional responses. For example, some sounds could produce a sensation of peace or clarity, while others could evoke intense feelings of fear or urgency. The study of this language was not just a linguistic exercise, it was a multi-dimensional puzzle. Each component of the language was thought to be a key that unlocked not only understanding, but also a deeper connection to the alien entities themselves. Researchers discovered that the alien language had no direct translation to human languages. Rather than translating words one-to-one, the language seemed to rely on concepts. Entire thoughts and ideas were transmitted simultaneously. This made it incredibly difficult to interpret using traditional linguistic methods. Yet, as time went on, the researchers began to understand the basic structure. The central tenet of the language was its use of patterns and resonance. The sounds and symbols were not arbitrary, but followed a highly logical system that linked each frequency and symbol to a core concept. In a sense, the language was alive, constantly evolving, and changing with the emotions and intentions of the communicator. The breakthrough came when the CIA documents revealed a stunning discovery: an actual message. The transmission was sent in a series of pulses that lasted several days, each pulse containing a different pattern of symbols and sounds. The content of this message was both simple and profound. "We are watching. You are ready." At first, this cryptic message was met with skepticism. Was this a hoax? A technical error? But after careful analysis, the researchers confirmed that the message was real. It came from a source beyond our planet, and it was directed at humanity. The phrase, "we are watching," suggested that these beings had been observing humanity for an extended period, potentially for centuries. The second part, "you are ready," was even more intriguing. What did it mean for humanity to be ready? What were we ready for? These questions lingered, unanswered, as the world began to grapple with the enormity of the situation. The documents revealed that the transmission was not isolated. It was part of a larger series of communications that had been ongoing for decades. The extraterrestrial beings seemed to be watching humanity's progress, waiting for the right moment to make contact. According to the declassified reports, the beings had a profound understanding of human culture, psychology, and even history. They appeared to be aware of the complexities of our society and were perhaps waiting for us to reach a level of awareness or readiness before revealing themselves fully. But why, and how could they know that humanity was ready? As the CIA's investigation deepened, it became clear that this alien language was far beyond anything humanity had encountered before. The cryptographers, linguists, and researchers tasked with deciphering the strange symbols were facing an unprecedented challenge. At first, it seemed like a typical cryptographic puzzle, a string of strange characters, seemingly random, with no obvious pattern or logic. But as the team continued to dig, they quickly realized that traditional methods of code breaking, those that had worked for centuries to unlock human mysteries, were useless here. The symbols weren't static or straightforward. They defied human linguistic frameworks in ways that were both perplexing and fascinating. Then, one brilliant mind, Dr. Eleanor Langley, a linguist with a reputation for thinking outside the box, proposed a radical theory. What if the symbols weren't individual characters at all, but rather intricate, self-replicating patterns, much like fractals? She suggested that each symbol could represent something far larger, something far more complex than what was initially obvious. These fractals, she theorized, could be self-contained universes of meaning, layers upon layers of information embedded within each shape and sound. One symbol might not just represent a single idea or word, but could hold the essence of an entire concept, unfolding into different dimensions depending on the context in which it was placed. This hypothesis was a game changer. It turned everything the team had thought they knew about language on its head. Instead of focusing on each symbol as a simple unit of meaning, something like a letter or a syllable, they began to see the symbols as dynamic systems of thought. The very nature of communication, as they had known it, was being redefined. To grasp the true complexity of the language, they needed to look beyond the symbols themselves. The next phase of the research focused on the frequencies and energies associated with each symbol. It was discovered that these alien characters were not merely visual in nature, but also had an auditory component. Frequencies that, when played through specialized equipment, would produce sounds that seemed to resonate not just in the ears, but in the very bones of the listener. These frequencies, according to the researchers, carried information in a way that was similar to how sound waves carry information in human speech. But these alien waves were unlike anything they had ever heard. The research team began to understand that the symbols and their accompanying frequencies weren't separate entities. They were intrinsically linked, forming a holistic communication system that transcended mere visual or auditory input. The symbols, when combined with the specific frequencies, created a resonance that seemed to bypass the limitations of human cognition. It was a form of communication that went far beyond words or phrases. It tapped directly into perception and emotion. The The more they studied it, the more the team realized that this wasn't just an alien language, it was an experience. As the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together, it became increasingly clear that these extraterrestrial beings didn't view language the way humans did. While we rely on a linear, structured system of communication, sentences built from words, ideas formed from those sentences, the alien language appeared to be fluid, capable of shifting in response to the emotional and intellectual states of the communicators. It was a language of constant change, one that evolved dynamically with the interaction between the two parties. The symbols didn't just convey a fixed meaning. They adapted, expanded, and contracted, depending on the mental and emotional resonance of the person receiving them. What's more, the language didn't appear to require direct translation. The symbols and their corresponding frequencies seemed to evoke an immediate, intuitive understanding, not through words, but through shared experience. In essence, the beings weren't speaking to humans in the traditional sense. They were creating a shared mental and emotional space where understanding didn't rely on the limitations of individual languages. It was telepathic communication, but not in the conventional sense that many people imagine, with thoughts being transferred directly from one mind to another. Instead, it was a far more complex interplay between thought, perception, and language, a merging of minds through frequency and resonance. Dr. Langley and her team were left grappling with this new realization. They weren't just decoding a language in the traditional sense. They were learning to perceive the world through a completely different lens, one that didn't rely on rigid definitions or fixed meanings. The alien beings, it seemed, were operating on a level far beyond the confines of human communication. They had transcended the need for rigid syntax and fixed vocabulary. Instead, their language was an ever-shifting flow, one that was deeply intertwined with their own consciousness and perception of reality. This posed an enormous challenge for the researchers. How could humans, beings who had evolved to rely on linear thinking, ever hope to understand something so fluid? How could our minds, shaped by years of using words, definitions, and structures, comprehend a system that was not defined by those very principles? The more the team analyzed the alien symbols, the more they realized that they would need to rethink everything they knew about language, thought, and communication. To truly decode the message from these extraterrestrial beings, they would have to break free of the mental constraints that had governed human language for millennia. And yet, there was a part of the puzzle that intrigued them all. If this alien language could be so radically different from anything humans had ever known, could it also unlock something more profound? Could it teach humanity a new way to think, to experience reality, to communicate with one another in ways we had never imagined? Could it be the key to understanding not just the aliens but ourselves and our place in the vast cosmos? As the CIA's investigation progressed, the full implications of their groundbreaking discovery began to unfurl like a darkened sky, slowly revealing its hidden storms. What had initially seemed like a breakthrough, the discovery of an alien language, now appeared to be far more than a mere tool for communication. The deeper the researchers dug into the declassified documents, the more they came to realize that the language was not just a bridge between species, but something far more powerful. It held the potential to unlock aspects of the human mind and consciousness that had long remained dormant, but with that power came profound risks. This was not just a doorway to contact with extraterrestrial beings. It was a doorway to a higher realm of understanding, one that, if not approached carefully, could shatter the very foundations of human perception. The documents, once filled with scientific notes and observations, began to shift in tone. They became laced with subtle warnings, brief mentions of the dangers inherent in decoding the symbols, in truly grasping the essence of the alien language. It wasn't just the intellect that would be stretched, but the human soul itself. There were indications, veiled but unmistakable, that to truly understand the language, one would need to prepare not just mentally, but spiritually as well. The knowledge contained within the language was unlike anything humanity had encountered. It was not just information, it was an experience, an awakening that could challenge the very nature of human existence. These warnings were not easily dismissed, especially as they came from sources that had been involved in the initial stages of the project. Researchers who had shown early enthusiasm for decoding the symbols began to shift in their demeanor. What had begun as a quest for knowledge turned into something more unsettling. The initial thrill of discovery gave way to a growing sense of unease. It became clear that the language wasn't just an intellectual puzzle waiting to be solved. It was a force of nature, one that required a delicate balance of mind, spirit, and understanding to fully engage with. The CIA's classified documents detailed the growing concern within the team. Some of the researchers began to speculate that the language was not merely a medium for communication, but a catalyst for transformation. The aliens, they theorized, were offering humanity more than just knowledge. They were offering an opportunity for evolution, but this evolution came at a cost. To truly understand the language would require humans to expand their consciousness to a degree that most could never fathom. It was a kind of mental and spiritual awakening that could lead to enlightenment, but also to madness. What made the situation even more complex was the realization that this transformation was not linear. The alien language seemed to transcend the concept of time as humans understood it. The deeper the researchers went, the more they began to see that the language didn't just allow communication across space. It offered a kind of mental transcendence, where past, present, and future were no longer confined to their traditional boundaries. The symbols, in combination with their frequencies, created a mental and emotional resonance that affected the human psyche in unpredictable ways. One researcher described the experience as dissolving the boundaries of self, where the line between the individual and the universe blurred into something beyond comprehension. While some researchers were eager to embrace this opportunity for human evolution, others began to fear what it could mean for the stability of the human mind. The more they uncovered about the language, the more they realized that it was not a simple tool. It was a key that could unlock a door to new dimensions of understanding, but also to new dangers. The language was capable of opening human consciousness to such an extent that the very fabric of reality could be altered, and not everyone, it seemed, was prepared for such an awakening. One particularly troubling aspect of the alien language was its ability to bypass the human subconscious. The researchers discovered that the symbols and frequencies didn't just communicate on an intellectual level. They tapped into deeper, more primal layers of the psyche, ones that were often hidden, repressed, or forgotten. It was as if the language had the ability to stir up buried fears, desires, and emotions, forcing individuals to confront parts of themselves they were not ready to face. This, the researchers realized, could be both a blessing and a curse. For those who could handle the emotional and psychological upheaval, the language held the potential for a profound awakening. They could transcend the limitations of the physical world, unlocking new levels of understanding and perception. But for those who were not prepared, the consequences could be catastrophic. There were reports of researchers who, after prolonged exposure to the symbols and frequencies, began to experience disorientation, hallucinations, and even psychotic episodes. It was as if the language was pulling them into a realm of pure thought and energy, where the normal constraints of time and space no longer applied. Some researchers found themselves unable to distinguish between the symbols and the thoughts they were experiencing, as if the language itself was becoming part of their very minds. This was the true danger of the alien language. It wasn't just a tool for communication. It was a force of nature that could fundamentally alter the human mind. And as the CIA's investigation progressed, it became increasingly clear that humanity stood at a crossroads. The alien language was both a gift and a challenge. To understand it fully could elevate humanity to a new stage of consciousness, one where the boundaries of perception were expanded and the nature of reality itself was revealed in a new light. But at the same time, this understanding could strip away the very foundations of what it meant to be human. It was a Pandora's box, one that could either bring humanity to new heights or plunge it into an abyss of madness. For those who worked on the project, the choice was not a simple one. The temptation to uncover the full extent of the language's power was strong. Yet, with each new revelation, the researchers grew more divided. Some believed that humanity had the right, even the responsibility, to embrace this new knowledge, no matter the cost. Others, however, feared that to delve too deeply into the alien language was to risk everything, to open a door that could never be closed again. In the end, the CIA's discovery of the alien language became a symbol of the dangers of knowledge. It was a reminder that some truths, no matter how alluring, came with consequences. Humanity's thirst for understanding could lead to great advancements, but it could also unravel the very fabric of existence if that knowledge was not handled with care. As the CIA documents continued to reveal more about the alien language, one thing became clear. Humanity was not simply on the cusp of contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. We were standing at the edge of a new world, one that could forever alter the course of human evolution. And whether that transformation would be a blessing or a curse was a question that no one could answer. What was certain, however, was that the alien language held the key to unlocking the next stage of human consciousness. And the risks of that knowledge were as vast as the potential rewards. In the end, the real question was not whether humanity should seek to understand the language, but whether humanity was truly ready for the awakening it would bring. The release of these CIA documents marks the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The question now is not whether extraterrestrial life exists, but how we will respond to the knowledge that we are not alone, and that the universe is speaking to us in a language that transcends time and space. Are we ready to understand the message, to decode the language, or will we retreat into fear, unable to grasp the significance of this revelation? The alien language, once a secret hidden deep within the vaults of the CIA, is now a beacon of potential. It is up to us to decide how we will move forward, to embrace the mystery or ignore it, as we navigate the unknown future that lies ahead. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If this exploration of extraterrestrial communication resonates with you, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. The path to discovery is long, but together we can uncover the greatest mysteries of existence.